Not only did the Renault Scenic essentially invent the European compact MPV segment, but its four-generation lifespan has also neatly charted the evolution of the family blob on wheels. However, the outgoing Scenic 3 floundered, along with the rest of the class, as droves of family buyers migrated from drab five-door bubbles into the more dynamic profile of the crossover. Renault's introduction of its XMOD model was intended to stem the tide, but its half-hearted execution and off-key looks only highlighted how unfashionable the Scenic had become. The secret to the Scenic's new design identity, aside from all the obvious curvature going on in the bodywork, is contained within a number of telling dimensional changes. The latest model is 20 mm wider than its predecessor and on broader axle tracks. It's also a little over 30 mm longer in the wheelbase and is 16 mm shorter in the rear overhang, making it better proportioned right out of the gate. The effect, considered alongside the high shoulder line, deep sills and raked nose, is significant. The Grand Scenic gains slightly longer rear doors in order to account for a wheelbase length 70 mm greater than that of its five-seat sibling, although it, too, is a visual tonic for the mostly by-the-numbers design of direct rivals such as the Volkswagen Touran and Citroën Grand C4 Picasso. Whether or not the Scenic overhauls the more fashionable profile of a Skoda Kodiaq or Nissan X-Trail is debatable, but the very fact of it being worthy of discussion signals that the Renault design team has triumphantly hit its target. Underneath the body, there are fewer surprises. The aged platform of its predecessor has been replaced by the larger version of Renault-Nissan's Common Module Family, CMF, architecture. Climbing into the Grand Scenic, and that unassuming 40 mm of extra ground clearance will have made it a slight step up for some. The difference between old and new is immediately apparent, not just for the new layout, but also for a cabin architecture clearly intended to better bridge the gap left in Renault's right-hand drive markets by the departed space. There are ICE-fixed child seat anchorages for only the two outer middle row seats and the front passenger seat, however, while the switch to a non-removable middle row of bench seats, split 60-40, rather than three individual chairs, will perhaps rankle with some. With the jump seats down, boot capacity is 596 liters, fold the lot and the satisfyingly flat floor will furnish you with more than 1900 liters, which is slightly more than Volkswagen quotes for the Touran. Where the Scenic is less able to compete with the class leader is in dashboard design and perceived quality. The previous model was notable for its big advance in build quality over that of its predecessor. This new version is much less of a leap forward. Mostly, it is the layout that aggravates, with Renault plonking its unfortunately proportioned infotainment screen and center stack down in such a way that it manages to look like an afterthought, while delivering a sliding center console between the front seats that often obscures the car's cup holders. That's a shame, because the decision to move the instrument panel back from the center top of the dash to directly ahead of the driver is the correct one, and the gently raised driving position is nicely judged. Renault's R-Link setup is a mixed bag. The large, 8.7-inch touchscreen is mounted vertically on an unbecoming plastic plinth, but because its orientation often makes the sat-nav hard to follow, you can only conclude that it's the wrong way round. The system might have been saved by a combination of clever menus, but instead it is riddled with functional bugbears,